Before we get started with the show, I need to have a quick word with you all. Would you like to have your brand before the tens of thousands of listeners and viewers of the Good Oil podcast? Contact me at cam@goodoil.news.
Hey, now welcome to the show, where the wind's blowing strong and the truth can flow. This is the Good Oil. Catch a vibe today with Cam Slater leading us all the way.
Jane Greensmith, welcome to episode 14 of the Good Oil podcast.
Hello.
You seem a bit nervous.
I am nervous.
This is the first time you've spoken to media for 10 years, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes.
And we sat down a bit beforehand so I could hear your story, and I think we were there about 3 hours.
Oh, yeah.
So
The edited version.
That was the edited version. You are the owner of a property in Titirangi,
Yes.
Pātaroa Road,
Yes.
and it was the site of the infamous kauri tree protest.
Yes, it was.
So why don't you tell us a bit about what your background is, what you were going to be doing with the property there, because you've never spoken to the media. So all we've got is, the protesters and the Wombles and your neighbours and everybody else who's said all these things about you. And this is going to be your chance to portray your side of the story because it's developed somewhat.
Yes, it has. Well, it's been 10 years since that happened, so it's a long time. Yes, there was a lot of misinformation. So I'll tell you a bit about myself. I was born in Titirangi. My parents moved there in 1964. My father was an architect who built his own house, block by block. I met my husband John at architecture school, so we're both architects. We built a house in Titirangi. We first got married at 25 and then built a second house, family house, and we've been there ever since.
So you still live in Titirangi?
Yeah, I've still lived there, so I've been there for a very long time. We were looking for a fun project. Well, I was looking for a fun project to build some houses in 2013. So we bought these two sites. They're side by side, and they look over Titirangi Beach. They are lovely, and yes, that's where it started.
So just so we can get the picture right, we've heard stories in the media that these were 500-year-old kauri or 700-year-old kauri. Nobody seemed to get a grasp on how old this kauri tree was supposed to be.
Yeah, well, if we go back a bit, Titirangi was clear felled for kauri logs in the early 20th century. So most of the trees that are left, 99.95% of them, would be seedlings. So this is a seedling. This it is about 700 millimeters in diameter, and so it was no different.
So 70 centimeters.
Yeah,
basically 2 and a bit rulers.
Yes.
Well, that's not hundreds of years old.
No, people were really disappointed when they came to visit it. I think they were expecting Tāne Mahuta, but they got this little seedling.
So this tree's in the middle of what you have designed to put on this property. It's your property. It's your tree.
Yes.
You had presumably resource consents.
Yes. 2 resource consents. Yes.
And then what happened?
Well, I lodged the resource consents for the properties, and immediately there was stonewalling. The neighbour immediately to the left got wind of it and approached the council, and it all went badly. Now, having done lots of consents over the years,
Being an architect, you would do hundreds of them, wouldn't you?
I knew, and lots in Titirangi, so I knew that it was all not right. So the planner, Sonny, started to call me at strange hours, and council staff don't work out of hours, so he started to call me at 8 o'clock in the morning or quietly at 6 o'clock at night, and it was all just strange. Anyway, this went on for probably 3 or 4 months. And then in early 2014, we arranged a meeting with the council to say, what's going on? Are there other people involved? Is it the local board? No, they said, it's just the neighbours. Anyway, so
So what were the neighbours objecting to? You didn't know at the stage, or?
they just didn't want houses there at all.
But they they've got a house there.
Yeah, it's quite common in Titirangi when you have a bush site next door that you enjoy, that you feel as though you own. When someone comes along to build something, you do feel a little intimidated.
Do they not understand property rights?
So they don't seem to. No, and I think there's something like 3,000 empty sites from Titirangi out to Huia. So there's huge numbers of empty sites.
I imagine they're difficult as well, difficult access or...
Yes, but they're all sewered and they have town water and they're perfectly buildable. I've done tons of them.
Yeah.
But, people do find it a challenge going from what effectively is a public park next door to a dwelling.
Well, they think it's a public park, but
Yes, they do.
but it's owned by you and your husband.
That's right. That's right. So I understand that, but this became bigger than Ben-Hur, bigger than anything that anyone's ever seen. So,
But you still had resource consent, and that was approved, and so you set in motion what you need to do to prepare the site to get on with the job.
yes, that's right. So, that was in 2014, and then in early 2015, I decided that was start work. So I organised treescapes to come out to clear the trees.
Yeah.
And then on the Friday they
It's like March.
yeah, it was about the 6th of March or something.
Okay.
So on the Friday they came on the site and they cleared everything bar the kauri and the rimu tree that were the subject of the challenges. The neighbours came home and told them to leave the property, and so they gave up, and then they intended to come back on the Monday morning, and that's when all hell broke loose on the Monday morning.
On the 9th.
On the 9th, yeah.
And when you say all hell broke loose, go and describe the chaos.
Well, Treescapes called us up to say that they couldn't get to the site because there were protesters everywhere. So this was an orchestrated demonstration. This wasn't an instant.
It wasn't organic.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
No, this had been orchestrated, we think, for weeks or months beforehand. And so early Monday morning, the guy climbed the tree and Treescapes couldn't
It's Michael Tavares.
Yeah, yeah. So he came over from Waiheke, so he clearly not come on the first ferry.
Mm.
So he climbed the tree and our phone started ringing and Treescapes said they couldn't carry on, so they left. And then the police rang John to see if he'd go and sign the trespass orders down at the site, which is, in hindsight, seemed quite baiting, really, to get him down to the property. So I was very reluctant to let him go, but he said, no, I'll go down. And so he drove in the back way. There's 2 roads that approach the site.
Yes.
So he drove in the back way and he parked his car, hopped out of his car, and then just proceeded to just walk through all the protesters because they didn't know what he looked like. And then this older guy popped out, Mike, and said, John, come to my house and we'll do it there. And so Mike just happened to be the dad of an old flatmate of John's. And so he went into Mike's house and got the police in and gave him a cup of tea and he signed the trespass documents. And then he walked back out through the protesters, nobody knowing who he was, hopped in his car and drove home. So then we started to get people bashing on the front door. And, we have a 100-metre long driveway, so it was quite a walk to get to our house.
They come and knock on the door.
Yeah, and so it was very intimidating at that point.
Because the media portrayed these people as earnest, saviours of ancient kauri trees, and, butter wouldn't melt in their mouth and they're wonderful people, and this guy up the tree is ensuring it doesn't get cut down.
Well, I think that couldn't be further from the truth, to be honest.
So tell us a little bit about the intimidation and the things that you went through in the ensuing days afterwards.
Yes, so that was Monday. The phone rang continuously. We didn't talk to anybody. We didn't really know what had hit us, to be honest. And then the next day, Tuesday, the paths start to diverge. So there's still hundreds of protesters at the site. He's still up the tree. It's all over the newspapers. But then at around lunchtime, the CEO of Treescapes phoned us.
Mm-hmm.
and said, we've had a bomb threat at the yard I think it's in Kumeu.
Yeah.
So it was all getting out of control.
It's fairly intense. Bomb threats, people knocking on your door,
It was.
all over a tree.
It was. So he said, I've got the CEO of Vector here, and he has a solution for you. Well, we were instantly suspicious because it did seem as though.
But you contracted Treescape to cut the trees down, right?
Correct, because I just happened to know a guy at Treescape.
Yeah.
But
Well, you'd use them all the time, wouldn't you?
often.
Yeah.
But Treescapes, Vector owns Treescapes, the council owns Vector. Everybody's was
Connected.
financially linked. Yes, which we didn't even know.
So out of the blue, the Treescape CEO calls you up and says, I've got a solution for you.
Yes, totally out of the blue.
And what did the solution look like?
Well, the CEO of Vector then rang 2 minutes later and said, let's have a meeting on the Wednesday morning.
So literally
10 o'clock.
on the third day
Yes,
since the protest began.
that's right. The third day, so 10 o'clock in the morning. And then, so we rang our lawyer. So you better get to this meeting. And the CEO of Vector then rang back later in the afternoon and said, I want to do a phone meeting, not a in-person meeting.
Right.
Fine. So we get together and the phone goes, and he has his company secretary with him. And it starts off in a very aggressive tone. Like, we know what you paid for them. It seemed not relevant because we'd bought them a couple of years before. We'd got these resource consents that had cost a couple of $100,000. Property prices had increased significantly between 2013 and 2015.
Mm.
So we were just shocked. And so we said, well, we've done all this work. They're not worth what we paid for them. They're worth
X.
more.
Yeah.
More.
Well, the property values have gone up.
Yeah.
You've spent money on clearing things. There's work to be done, and so there's actually value that's gone into the property.
That's right. And
Yep.
they're really nice sunny sites, and we wanted them. So they then said, well, they would make a nice park. At which point we said, well, have you even been there? Because they're steep as anything.
Mm.
You can hardly climb them. They're not suitable for a park. So anyway, there was a bit of chit-chat, and then they sort of backed off and said, oh, we'll call tomorrow. And at that point, we knew that this was just not right. So then we had a meeting with the council, which was our first meeting with the council, at about 11 o'clock. So we travelled from where we'd had this telephone conference
Yeah.
into the council building.
Yes.
So
Now, Phil Goff was the mayor at this stage, wasn't he?
yes, he was. Yes.
And I think he made some very strident public statements about it.
Yes, he did. So we knew where he sat. So they took us up to one of the high levels with our lawyer again, and took us into a room called the Cowrie Room, which obviously they thought was probably hilarious. But totally coincidentally, John had been in a meeting there the week before and had met Phil Goff, and he had noticed that the room was wide up. And so it was about a 25-seat boardroom.
Yeah.
So we met Dean Kimpton there and David Oakhill. So we all sat sort of separately, and it was a very unusual meeting. And Dean Kimpton asked if we'd surrender our resource consents. And we said no, we won't be.
Well, you've got the consent. You've spent
Cost a fortune.
a
Yeah.
couple of $100,000 on getting the consent
In 2 years,
in 2 years of time.
no one's going to give away a resource consent
Well, what was their reason? To make the problem go away?
to make it all disappear.
But they consented it.
Yes,
I don't understand this. They've issued a consent.
that's right.
You can do what you want now.
Correct. And you can never take a resource consent away. There's no ability to get rid of it. It
Right.
is what it is. So you got it, and you've got it for
But
5 years.
here you are on the third day of the protest,
Yes,
and the council, which issued this consent previously, is now wanting you to voluntarily give it up.
that's right. So we said no. So they both stood up and walked out of the room and left us there in this quite secure council building. We're left standing there. So because John had been in the room the week before, he said, "Let's go. We're not selling," because obviously they were trying to hear what we had to say to each other. So we just got up and left. And that was the Wednesday, which was our 20th wedding anniversary. So it was a pretty full day.
Yeah.
I remember that. And our lawyer said it was the most fun day he'd had for ages in terms of compared to sitting in the office. So yeah, that was that.
A nice wedding anniversary. 100 protesters
Yes.
protesting a resource consent which you're entitled to
Yes.
use and execute.
Yes.
And the council seems to be, these are my words,
Yes.
but from all intents and purposes, it looks like the council is colluding with Vector, which is colluding with Treescape, to try and A, remove your resource consent,
Yep.
or B, dispossess you of the property for a steal.
Correct. Well, we made a bit more tougher stuff than that. So that was never going to happen. So I think there'd been a lot of misinformation fed out about us, and nobody really knew us. And I think if they'd known us a bit better, the whole situation could not have happened.
Mm.
But
Well, the council would have known you because you're putting in resource consents all the time.
but they don't know you personally.
No, true.
No, it's all, everything's online, and they don't know. They don't know you, and they don't know anything about you, and yeah.
So here we are on the third day. Ruined wedding anniversary, I guess. What are you going to do?
Well, at that point, we had realised very clearly that this was seemingly a stitch up. And so we wrote the letter that was published the very next day in the Herald.
Yeah.
And
There's an open letter, yeah.
that's right. And everybody published it. And it said very clearly in one sentence, all of those people together were together. So a few people worked it out.
So what you're saying is your neighbour,
Yes.
did your neighbour know somebody at Treescape or Vector or something like that?
Then he knew the local board.
Right.
Yes.
So that's people like Greg Presland.
Yes. Yes.
So you had the local board, you had the council,
Yes.
you had Vector,
Yes.
you had Treescape,
Yes.
and your neighbour
Yes.
all working against you.
Correct.
It's like a siege without the castle.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And an idiot up a tree.
That's right. Who's very, very difficult to get down. So
If you're more patient than I am, I would have cut the tree down under him.
it's easy to say that, but in reality, it's quite difficult when there's dozens of people milling around the bottom of the tree.
Hang on a second. All these people are hanging around the tree, clomping all over your property.
That's right.
What happened to the police with the trespass notices? They issued them and they were ignored.
They did nothing. They did nothing all week.
Right. So the police sat on their hands.
Yes.
But again, I come back to the tramping all around 2015 this is. We all knew about Kauri dieback disease back then.
Oh, absolutely. And we suspected the tree had Kauri dieback at that point.
Right.
It was tested about 2017 or 18. After the protest, it was tested, and it did have Kauri dieback, but a lot of trees in the area.
But we're told to wipe our feet and brush our feet and use detergent. Anyone who goes to Waihiki's got all these signs that are showing that. Anyone who goes out west and on bush tracks, there's always signs about that. But these 100 or so protesters are all tramping around with gay abandon on your property around a tree that is at risk from Kauri dieback.
That's correct. And those rules were in place at the time that you had to use the spray on your boots and all of that stuff. I wasn't standing there, so I don't know if they used it. I doubt that they did.
Yeah.
There was just litter everywhere. They sat at the bottom of the tree, obviously gone up and down the tree constantly. And we'd heard that they didn't actually sleep in the tree, that they had a caravan. They came down at night and slept in the caravan. So
you wrote the open letter.
yes.
So I just needed to clarify that because it seems strange that the people who are trying to save a tree are clomping around when there's Kauri dieback disease in Titirangi and the Waitakaris and all that, and they just don't seem to be thinking about the tree anymore.
Well, I think it was a bigger picture than just our tree.
Right.
I think it was the beginning of a movement.
Right.
This is my opinion. I think it was the beginning of a movement to take properties that groups had decided, like Greenpeace, were of interest. And so after our protest, there was the Canal Road protest,
Yeah.
where they sat there for about 150 days. Um, there was another one in New Lynn where they tried to climb some Purakawa trees, part of a development.
Motor car was a weed.
I know, but it's it gets in the media, so
Yeah.
it's interesting. There was another property in was it Mount Albert, and they sat on the roof, and all of the people were involved, but there's always a neighbour that's upset about something, and then it just goes from there. So I think, well, I hope that by making such a stand about private property ourselves, that that it did slow it down or stop it.
This seems very quick time frame, in 3 or 4 days. When did the police actually act against Michael Tavares and get him out of the tree?
Well, after our open letter, they all decided that, concluded from that letter, that we no longer intended to do any work there.
Mm-hmm.
So on the Friday, he came down, I think, of his own accord, and was arrested and charged for.
He was charged. He was prosecuted as well. Yeah.
Yes. So
Convicted.
that's right. That's right. So there's a new law, I think, that not going to be able to protest outside residential
I
houses.
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting because the whole street was disrupted. I mean, there was a woman who went to hop in her car that Monday morning to go to work, and the houses sit below the street.
Yes.
So she didn't know there was anything happening. So she hopped in her car, in her carport, which was facing outwards, and she just drove out like she normally would. And there's this huge crowd of people. And so she flung the door of the car open and went to get out of the car, and obviously was in a complete panic. And so she backed backwards, and she backed back into the carport with the door open, and she ripped the door of the car off, and she drove back into the...
Oh, dear.
It seems a funny story now, but at the time I think she was very upset, and people had to help her back down into her house. And then the disruption just carried on all year, all 2015, for the people that live in that street. It was shocking.
So they maintained a presence on or around the property for a year,
Well,
sort of.
came and went.
Yeah.
Yes, there were gatherings during the year. Police came through in the night, and there were people there long away as August. Yes.
So what happened next?
But-
You're stuck here, right? You've got a resource consent. You've got a bunch of busybodies who are trying to prevent you doing what you're authorised to do. You've got police who sat on their hands for a week. You've got council interference, Victor's interference from the chief executive. There's a word for all of this that's coming to mind, well, which I won't mention just yet, but I suspect that we're going to hear about more fuckery, for want of a better term.
Yes.
So the council suggested a facilitated discussion, I guess, for want of a better term.
Yes. So Dean Kimpton had been calling us constantly, and we really didn't have much to say. So
your position was just you've got a resource consent, and at some time you will execute that and build what you planned.
That is correct. And the essence is that every house has had trees on it that have been cleared back to the beginning. Whether you're in Ponsonby or whether you're in Hamilton or wherever you are, every site was...
Yeah, I don't understand forest climbing up trees, because trees don't live forever.
No.
Right?
No.
They grow old, they get disease, they fall over, a storm comes through, anything can happen to them. It's like the Purakawa tree in Takapuna that they're wailing about it being sacred.
It's lying on the ground.
It's lying on the ground. It's,
Yes.
Yes.
Well, it's not a tree. It's horizontal.
Purakawa divines anyway.
So he suggested this facilitated discussion with Janet Clues, who is originally the mayor of Gleneden.
Yes.
She had been on local boards. She knew all the players. She was experienced and very intelligent, and I liked Janet. So she arranged the meeting, and we went to the first meeting with her and our lawyer and a council lawyer. And we sat there for a couple of hours and talked through what had happened and where we would go from here. There really wasn't much to talk about in terms of going forward from their perspectives. It was only from our perspective
Yeah.
that we had the consents and they were valid, and that was it. So the point of that discussion was that she wrote a report.
Right. How long did it take you to write this report? Or was it done over a significant amount of time or a short amount of time?
Yes. So she started with us in April, and then we had a second meeting in May, and then she was supposed to write and complete the report. So
Because it's 2016 now, is it? Oh no, this is still
2015.
2015, yeah.
So I contacted her in August 2015 and said, "Where's the report?" Oh, she said, "Now I'm interviewing all the other people."
Oh.
So it had gone from a discussion with just us, which is
It's a bit of false pretenses, isn't it? You had
Right.
a facilitated discussion, which has now turned into a report, and the facilitated discussion was actually an interview for the report.
That's right.
Seems rather dishonest.
It was, and I was extremely annoyed about it because
Do you put that down to the council or to Janet?
no, other people, the other players had heard about the report
Right.
being created, so they effectively busted into it, and obviously Janet and the council agreed that they would all be interviewed separately. So I contacted her in August to say, "Where's the report?" And she said, "Well, now I'm interviewing all of these other people." So it took quite a long time to get around a couple of neighbours and Greg Presland and Sandra Coney and get
No, it's all of the Illuminati of the left, isn't it? Sandra Coney
it
and Greg
was.
Presland.
And what is interesting is we've never met any of these people. They don't know us. They've to this day have never ever made contact or met us or had any interaction whatsoever with us. So then she interviewed all these other people, and time went on, and she finally lodged the report at the council in February 2016.
Oh, great. Did you get to read it?
No, I didn't know it had been handed into them. Meanwhile, the neighbours had launched a judicial review against us for the resource consents. So then it now turned into court action.
It was in the neighbour's name?
Yes.
And who was their lawyer?
It was Davy Salmon.
Davy Salmon. He does a lot of Greenpeace's work.
Yes. Yes. We didn't know that at the time, but obviously that...
Oh, I know all about Davy Salmon.
That came to the fore pretty quickly. Yes. So the hearing was meant to be in March. So the report had been tabled in February. The hearing was meant to be in March. But my mother-in-law suddenly died, so we had to delay it. So it was delayed, unfortunately, until November, which was a huge delay for a judicial review.
Right.
So
November the following year.
from March 2016 to November
Yeah.
2016.
Wow.
Yeah, massive delay. So effectively, the site at that point is under an injunction and you can't build on it. So it's very costly to us because time's going on and prices are going up and we're stuck.
Plus you've got lawyers to deal with the judicial review. Yeah.
Yes. So in September, we heard about the report, that it existed. It still hadn't been handed to us. So I did a LGOIMA, a local government information request.
Yep.
And it was declined for the entire report, which of what the only
Also, on what basis?
of confidentiality, I'm not sure to whom, but an entire report which is talking only about us and our properties, we now can't have.
Did you ask under the Privacy Act? Because that's a lot more powerful than the Local Government Official Information Act, Meeting Act.
Yes. So then I sent in a second request and it was declined again. So around November, I sent it to the Ombudsman to review. So I got it sent to the Ombudsman and he sat on it like they do for a number of months. And then in about April 2017, the council started responding on the Janet Clues report. And then,
Which you still hadn't seen.
no, I still hadn't seen it.
So they're responding on it.
The council and the ombudsman are
Oh, okay.
chit-chatting.
Chit-chatting, yep.
Yes. So in November for the judicial review, it had not been resolved. So I went to another hearing in the end of April. So now talking 17 months of judicial review. And so about a week before that judicial review hearing, the second one, the council furnished me a copy of the Janet Clues report in part. So there were 5 pages of a 12-page report completely blacked out. And there were 5 pages that were partially blacked out.
So mostly black ink.
Black ink, as black as your T-shirt, Cameron. It was black. I was really upset that a report, which was our report, now was a few lines here and there. So in terms of the judicial
But
review,
what could you see on that report? Was there anything of any import that
it was very, very important. Janet had said how harmed we'd been, the bad behaviour of the local board, how things had gone so badly, and it could have been.
So you were allowed to see that the council had known for 17 months that their actions, their local board members, including Sandra Coney and Greg Presland,
Yes,
had actually harmed you.
correct.
And they sat on that for 17 months and still didn't give you the rest of the report.
No.
Again, it sounds like fuckery.
Yes. So then it had really got too much for us. The costs were extortionate. And so we decided to surrender the resource consents a week before that hearing.
Oh, well, that's handy because you can't judicially review something you don't have.
Correct.
Oh, Dave Salmon would have been a bit upset.
Upset to say the least. He was furious. Absolutely furious. And people don't normally surrender consents. They only let them expire
Right.
after 5 years. They don't surrender them. You just let them run and then
Yeah.
they expire. So it actually turned out that only one other lawyer that we came across had ever surrendered consents.
Yep.
And that was the judge. So he had actually done the same thing some years beforehand
For his clients.
for his clients,
Yeah.
but he was not a judge, but he was a lawyer. So so there was a telephone conference to drop the whole case a week later, and that was that. But then,
But wait, there's more.
there's more. The neighbours were still not happy. So we now had nothing. We'd lost our consents, so we'd have to start all over again. And so the neighbours went to the Environment Court, ex parte, which means you're not
Not told, you're not
not
informed.
told, you're not informed, you have no ability to speak, you don't know about it. So they went off to the Environment Court and got an ex parte injunction on the tree.
Presumably with Davy Salmon in tow.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes. So an ex parte injunction on the tree. So again, the site can't be developed. So we're stuck again in limbo.
Unless you challenge that injunction, which of course is
Correct.
more litigation.
That's right. So we thought, right, we're just going to sit and decide what to do next. We were busy. The kids were 12 and 14. We just thought, this has been too much. So we just sat on that. And then a year went by and the injunction's still on the tree and we're just sitting. And then about 18 months later, the court contacted me, which is quite unusual, to say, why don't you sort out this injunction? I thought, well, I don't care. It's sitting there. I'll just let it sit. And everybody can stew, and I'm not stewing, and it just can sit there.
See, there's a legal strategy that a good friend of mine taught me, and that's not to play to win, it's to play to not lose. And that's a
Right.
different mindset. And it seems that you're using that strategy, whether you knew that strategy or not.
Maybe.
Because as soon as you get into a court situation, it's a lottery, right?
That's right.
Well,
Absolute lottery.
Whereas if you just sit there, they're waiting for you to do something. You're not doing anything. They're the ones who are expending mental energy on this,
That's right.
and you're getting on with your life.
That's right. That's right. So we effectively got dragged back in to sort out this injunction.
Mhm.
Anyway, the original judge had changed, and it was a different judge, and he decided to go out and visit the tree.
Oh,
Yes. So hopped in the limo, and off they went out and used their spray on their boots and went down to visit the tree, which was
so they did spray their boots.
yes, I believe they did, because I had to drop some spray off for them to use.
Right.
So yes,
So the protesters didn't, but the judge did.
yes, and his assistant. And so the neighbours had a camera on the side of their house rolling for years, and it was flashing a red light. So whether it was going or not, I don't know, but it's quite close to this tree. And so they went out and came back and issued the decision, and the injunction was off,
Gone.
free to go.
So where was this, in the employment court or just
Environment court.
the environment court?
Yes.
Right. Yep. So in the environment court, a judge who sits on the environment court all the time, it's all he does,
Yes,
has said there's no need for an injunction on the
that's
tree.
right, because they had put a temporary injunction,
Yeah.
and now they're seeking a permanent injunction. So you'd never be able to do anything on the site,
Right.
because where the house has to be.
And they failed.
Correct.
So no injunction, back to square one.
That's right.
What did you do?
Well, this is 2019 at this stage.
So this is 4 years.
That's right.
4 years into this,
Yes.
you've now got no more injunctions,
Yes.
but you also don't have any permits or
No.
resources.
Well, we had nothing. So we're back. We're really back to the beginning of buying the sites in 2013.
Yeah.
We've gone around in a big circle, spent a ton of money. As some friends said, they're the most expensive cheap sites you ever bought.
Oh,
But, I'm a very determined person, and if I have a site, I'm going to build on it. So I'll carry on.
Yeah.
So in 2021, I decided that I would go to the sites and start by building a fence between the left-hand side.
this is 6 years.
Yes, 6 years now.
Yeah.
So I built a fence between my sites and the neighbour's property.
The one who had complained and caused all this ruckus in the first place because they wanted a free park.
That's right. I had originally searched their property file, and their property file was about 1,000 pages of information, and they had tried to buy bits of the site for like a car park, and they tried to buy bits of the site.
Just
for 10 years.
encroaching on the site.
Yes, for 10 years previously. So they did want it, and then they missed out. So I decided to build this fence. So I got my fences round, and they're standing there digging holes. Well, again, all hell broke loose, and the neighbour came out and started yelling at them, and my fences said some choice swear words.
As fences do.
Yes, older guys,
Yeah.
tough as anything, and fencing is probably the most difficult job because
It involves boundaries and neighbours, and
people are very aggrieved when the
Yeah.
fencer shows up. So
especially if they're going to build a fence that might be taller than where the camera is.
yes, well, stick to the rules, 2 meters. So they're digging holes ready for the fence, and I've got some concrete, and then there's a scene. So I'm standing at the top of the property on the road, and I said, look, I'm just going to have to call the police. I can't carry on with this kind of behaviour. And the neighbour said, well, I know them all. I thought, well, you can't know them all. And even so I called the police, and they shot round within 3 minutes, and
That's been a quiet day.
must have been, it's probably like a Tuesday morning, shot around, and it was 2 younger police.
Yeah.
And so the policeman went over and spoke to the neighbour and said, look, if you carry on with this, we're going to arrest you. Anyway, he sort of went back inside his house, and the policeman rang the council. And the lady at the council said, fence, fine, carry on. No problem. No problem with it.
Did you have a permit for the fence?
You don't need one.
You
It's
don't need
permitted.
one, right.
Permitted
It's a
amount.
permitted activity, and as long as you build it within your boundary
On or
and
inside the boundary.
inside the envelope that they prescribed.
That's right, the height,
Yeah.
everything. So there's fences all over Titirangi now. There didn't used to be. But there's fencing on titles you're allowed to fence. And so,
People fence.
and of course people have a dog. Various different reasons for fencing. So fences carry on. They phoned me at lunchtime. A council compliance officer's come out and decided to issue me with an abatement notice.
Fencing's permitted.
Well, he stood there for an hour and a half because he didn't know why to issue it. And there was obviously some conversation going on back at the council because they found out it was me, not anybody but me. So they issued an abatement notice to me, which then sat in place for 7 months.
So you couldn't build the fence?
No, couldn't build the fence. Posts were in, sat there, couldn't do anything. So at this point, it's looking pretty deliberately vindictive. Well, that's how I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Towards me.
So what do you do in that situation? You suspect there's ratbaggery going on inside the council,
That's right.
collusion with the neighbours. You already know there's collusion with Vector and all of that going on.
That's right.
Did you start hitting the Lagoima requests again?
I did. So
Because that's what I'd do.
I had Lagoima that Janet Clues report and got that miserable amount. So I started Lagoiming everybody involved, everything, every topic that I could to find out information, because information is power and I needed to know what people were doing behind my back.
I'm surprised your lawyer didn't suggest you using the Privacy Act, because that gets you a whole lot more information.
That's right. Well, every Lagoima was virtually declined.
Yeah.
It went to the Ombudsman, and then a lot of it was sent to Privacy, to the Privacy Commissioner.
Because they're holding
Review.
information, private information about you and your husband.
That's right.
And so you're entitled to that.
That's right.
I always try and personalize my requests. If I'm doing a OIA to the police or any government department and it relates to something to do with me, I always hook the Privacy Act into it.
That's right.
And it makes it very difficult for them to refuse to give you anything.
That's right. So I then went to, because so much had gone to privacy, I got 2 privacy certificates. One for the Janet Clues report.
Yes.
And then one for emails around that fence.
So the Privacy Commissioner has issued you a certificate?
Correct.
And that certificate says to the council, Auckland Council, give this report and these emails to Jane Greensmith.
Yes, but they wouldn't. So the outcome of
That
that,
is ridiculous. They've been ordered to by the Privacy Commissioner and they refuse to.
yes,
This is insane. This is council out of control. This is the sort of stuff that, David Seymour never provides an example of the sort of things that go on. And here you are with council intransigence.
correct. And by 2019, the council had spent $500,000 on external legal consultants.
How much?
$500,000.
$500,000
Yes, that was in 2019.
on external consultants.
Yes, but we're not finished yet.
But wait, there's more.
So that's in 2019. They spent $500,000 on external legal consultants. And that doesn't count the internal legal department,
Right.
where there's 50 or 60 lawyers. And so I hate to think what they'd spent trying to stop information coming to me. It's horrendous. So because I had these 2 certificates, the first one for the Janet Clues report, I could then carry on to the Human Rights Review Tribunal to try and obtain the information. So in September 22, I lodged a claim.
So this is 7 years now. More than 7 years.
Yeah.
All right. So more than 7 years and you're at the Human Rights Review Tribunal
That's right. In
to
September.
force them to give you the report
Correct.
and the emails.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
So
So what's that process like? I've been through a Human Rights Review Tribunal process. It took 2 years.
yes. So I lodged it in September 22 and the hearing was last November 24. So it was
So it took 2 years
2
to hear it.
years. 2 years. It's The hearing itself, I don't really want to talk about because I think what goes on tour that should stay on tour.
Yeah.
And I think that people go there for all sorts of different reasons. From small things, so not being able to buy wine in the supermarket, to there was a case with a same-sex couple who want to be able to adopt a child.
Yeah.
And that went on to become law in New Zealand. So
there's some big things that go through the tribunal.
Yes.
But there's also a whole lot of other useless stuff. And
Yes. But I think it's probably the only outlet for a certain type of hearing where you can't go through the normal court process.
But it's a tribunal, not a court, though. So there's
That's
no
right.
judge there.
That's right. It's a tribunal with three members. So I was a lay litigant because obviously
didn't want to spend any more money.
I don't want to spend any more money, and imagine 2 years more of court costs.
Yeah.
And also nobody knows more about it than I do. I know.
You know it inside out because you've made it your life for 7 years.
Well, it's pursued me for, at that point, 7 and then 9 years.
9 years.
So the process, it's like the Hunger Games. Honestly, it's the survival of the fittest to get to the hearing. There were attempts by the council to strike it out. There were things all the way through that were challenging, because I'm not a lawyer. It's really difficult, and they were very difficult. The idea is that you try and resolve things before the hearing. Well, I knew that was never going to happen.
Well, what are the chances of that? I mean, it's in the 50 minutes we've been talking, the council has been intransigent all the way through. They've refused to give you information which you're entitled to.
That's right.
They've ignored the privacy commissioner. They've put roadblocks in every step of the way, even when they were illegal, like the abatement notice,
Yes,
etc.
The abatement notice that the work happened on the 17th of June, and they dated it the 16th. So it was never going to fly.
Yeah.
It was a fake abatement notice.
So you weren't going to resolve this. So you went to the tribunal.
And I knew the enemy. I knew that I was not going to resolve it prior to the hearing. I knew that I probably wouldn't resolve it in the hearing. And there was a complicating factor that I knew about, that there was a council lawyer who'd worked at the council in the legal department who was now at the Human Rights Review Tribunal.
So a direct conflict of interest.
Yes, I think it was up to the tribunal to manage that conflict of interest between the council and the... But I mean, it's Auckland, it's New Zealand, everybody's connected in one way, shape or form. So I considered it was up to them to manage that.
And did they?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they did or they didn't. I didn't raise that person, but other people might have, or proof will be in the pudding. Let's see. Yeah.
And so this is 9 years to get to be heard by the tribunal.
Yes, it is. So the claim.
So hang on, this is confusing, because when we had a discussion, a couple of weekends back, when you brought all this to my attention, and I was aware of the whole case because I wrote about it at the time, and I think I took your side on the basis of property rights, if I remember rightly. But you mentioned a council officer got into some trouble. This isn't the same council officer that ended up at the review tribunal, right?
This is the emails.
Yes.
Yes. So there were 3 emails that I was trying to get.
Right.
2 were legal privilege, which I knew I wouldn't get.
Yeah.
And then there was a 3rd email from a council staff member. So I assumed that I would get that because they don't attract any legal privilege.
Yeah.
So I had not been given that.
Yes.
3rd email. So in June, I realised that I'd...
How did you find out about these 3 emails?
Because I had already legoimed them in July 2021.
Right.
I already had all the information.
Yes.
And I had to go to the Ombudsman again to get that. So it's a lot of digging. So I didn't get that email. So in June this year, I decided that I would Lagoima this person, James Hassel, who works at the council. I didn't know what would come back. I just realised he'd been left off the list, effectively.
Right.
So I sent it in, and within the time it came back, and it said, and I'll read it, the search. So this search is around us and our Titirangi properties.
Right.
I'm not searching anybody else. I've always just been searching.
Things that are related to this incident,
Correct.
resource consent,
Yes.
very defined.
Very defined. And every Lagoima has never been about anybody else or anyone else's property. It's always just been these properties. The search returned approximately 47,979 hits, meaning that this is the number of emails. So it's just under 48,000.
48,000 emails in the possession of the council related to you and this resource consent in property. 48,000.
But this is just one staff member.
Right.
We're not talking all the other staff members, of which there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of emails. This is just one guy. So that's
They would have refused that on the basis of collation.
correct.
Yep.
You're not giving it to me.
Sorry to interrupt you. I need to have a quick word with you about sponsorship. If you like what we're doing, and tens of thousands of people are viewing these podcasts every week, then you need to put your brand before our audience. Contact me at cam@goodoil.news. Now back to the interview.
Why is there one guy who's got 48,000 emails about me?
Was he like the centre of the hub or something?
Well, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know him. I've never communicated with him. He's never emailed me.
Like, I've got a lot of emails, but I don't think I've got 48,000.
From one person?
No.
It's a ridiculous situation. Yeah. So 48,000.
So what's the story with this guy?
Well, I don't know him. I don't know anything about him,
Right.
except for the fact that he wrote an email at that time around the fence, and I don't know the content.
Right.
So I don't. He's been there a long time, so it goes
Have you
right
asked
back.
for just that email?
That's what I asked for in the Human Rights Review Tribunal.
Right.
Nothing. It's not come back
Right.
because they said it had legal privilege
Okay.
because someone talked on the phone.
And then he's passed that on to somebody else. This is what the lawyer says.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I mean, legal privilege is something that can be used and abused.
Well, we don't know, but that's why you go to the ombudsman. That's why you go to a tribunal, so they can say, give us the email, we'll determine it.
That's right. That's right. So I think, is it Google recently have made sure that every email in the building goes through a lawyer so that every single email in the entire business is legally privileged.
Right.
So it's a canny trick to
Yeah.
make sure that every email in your business
Which means you have to be very specific if you want to search information.
well, it means that it's impenetrable.
Mm.
You can't get anything because the old LP jumps up and you're stuck.
You must be completely exasperated by council intransigence and all of this ratbaggery and fuckwittery that's going on.
Oh, it gets worse.
The wait, there's more. There's more. How does it get worse? Come on, tell me.
So as part of the tribunal process, when I'm in the Hunger Games process,
Yeah.
you can do discovery.
Oh, yes, discovery is far more powerful.
That's right. So I didn't really need any discovery because I had so much information myself. There really wasn't anything that I required. But I sent off one piece of discovery for the correspondence between the council and the ombudsman over the Janet Clues report to see what had been said. Now, I knew I probably wouldn't get that because, again, it attracts legal privilege.
It's discovery, though, so they can't actually withhold it.
Yes, so they did withhold it because it's the ombudsman. So I got this instead. They furnished me with a list of names of the people who had been doing the correspondence. So I didn't know any of these people. So the first name on the list was this guy, Richard Harker. So I Googled him
That's what everybody does when they get a name. Right, let's see what this rooster's about.
Well, I'm sure the council wish they'd Googled it before they sent it.
Why? Tell me. God, it
Well,
can't be that bad, surely.
within 10 seconds, I had found out that he had been convicted. He'd been arrested, he'd been convicted and sentenced in the year that he'd been talking to the ombudsman about my stuff. So he was a lawyer in the legal department. And
Of the council.
Yes,
And he's arrested and charged
yes.
and convicted and sentenced. What was he sentenced to?
He was sentenced for sexual assault against children.
So he would have gone to prison.
No, he didn't. I think
Right.
first offence he didn't, but he didn't get fired either.
So hang on. Auckland Council had a lawyer,
Yes,
internal lawyer,
yes,
working for them, who's a convicted pedophile,
correct.
still working for them.
Not now, but
Not now, but he was
during
at
that
that
time.
time.
Yes, so in April 2017, when I was in that judicial review,
I mean, it's not relevant to your case, but it is a bit yuck, isn't it?
it is relevant in a way because he delayed.
Oh, he would have been in and out of court and,
He was busy.
yeah, very busy.
So in April 2017, when I was trying to get that Janet Clues report, he was conversing with the ombudsman, and then he just sort of disappeared. So the ombudsman's writing back, what's happening? Nothing. So he was arrested in April. He was convicted in December. Still's correspondence is going backwards and forwards of mine. And then he was sentenced in the following April. So I still don't have the whole report, but he's negotiating with the ombudsman about it.
While he's trying to avoid jail.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Pretty shocked. I mean, to have someone who's a lawyer conversing with the ombudsman, even if he'd stayed in the building, I mean, he should have been in the stationery cupboard or I don't know, but
Gardening leave? I don't know.
anything. So it's pretty upsetting.
But surely Auckland Council knew that this lawyer was on serious sexual offending charges,
Yes, they knew.
and they still employed him.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
It was unbelievable.
Still is, really. I mean, I'm just gobsmacked that this whole process has taken, well, when was it?
15.
2015. When
Now
2025, we're well over
10 years.
10 years.
10 years we know because we've celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary.
Right.
So, it comes around.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's 10 years
10 years.
and it's still ongoing.
Yeah. And have you had a response from the Human Rights Review Tribunal? Have you had a judgment from them?
Yes.
So it took 2 years for them to hear it.
Yes.
They heard it in November last year,
Yes.
and here we are in
August. Yes.
and you've only just heard.
Yes.
Right. And what was the result of that?
Well, the decision was that the council has breached my privacy by not giving me that report. The decision also said that not having that report did harm the court cases of the judicial review and the injunction. And then,
So negative impact on you in the court cases.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That if you'd had that report, the court cases might have been,
They might have gone differently.
they might have well have gone differently, and you might not have had to have given up your
That's exactly right.
resource consent, and therefore avoided having to have the cost of applying for a new resource consent.
That's right. But we won't know because it was never handed out at that time.
Yeah.
And then I've been awarded some damages, but they still won't give me the entire Janet Clues report.
Who the council won't.
The Human Rights Tribunal decision and the council won't give me the full report.
Why?
Well, in my opinion, I think there's obviously some misfeasance. So there's obviously things that have been said in that report that they don't want me to see. But I'm very, very determined, and I will get to see it, I am sure.
So what now? What do you do now?
Well-
You've still got a property. You don't have any resource consent.
It was a possible appeal of the tribunal decision.
When does that expire? You're not going to appeal it, are you?
I might.
You might, on the basis of you haven't got the report.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's what I went there for. I primarily went there to get that report. And I think I asked for confidentiality when we went into that discussion.
Yeah.
Nobody else did. And then after 9 or 10 years, it's gone. Their confidentiality never existed and is gone. So there's no reason to not give me the full report. So, yeah, what next?
There's a whole lot of questions that jump into my mind. And it all comes back to the council. And they all start with why. Why did the council decide they wanted to make an example of you? Were they trying to set a precedent for properties with tiny little cowries on them, or what?
There has been some discussion in the area that they want all of us gone, all the residents, that the area should be part of the Waitakere Ranges and that effectively they want everybody out. That has been raised a few times in public hearings, and but it's not really possible.
No.
You can't just kick people out of their homes because you feel like it.
Well, it's very expensive.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And I don't think the council can afford to buy us out.
And they can't use the Public Works Act because, well, there's no works involved here.
No, we're not building a motorway through the area. No, and it's pristine. So, yeah, I think that's the gist of it.
And then they must be covering up ratbaggery that's gone on, between the local board and various different people. Correct me if I'm wrong here, didn't Greg Breslin set up a trust to save the kauri tree?
Yes, there was a trust set up, Save Our Kauri Trust, which was supposed to be a fundraising mechanism to to buy the sites off us. So when it talks about that in her report.
Yeah, when I was researching for this interview, I read that there was this Save Our Kauri Trust that has been set up.
Yes.
We're 10 years down the track. Are they still fundraising? And what happened to the money?
It's been a slow fundraising exercise. I don't know. I don't know what happened to it.
Maybe I should ask Greg Breslin some questions.
Maybe. But there was supposedly a sale and purchase offer to be put forward. Well, we never saw it. And we wouldn't have had it on if there was, but we never saw it.
Have you ever got to the bottom of the relationship between the Vector chairman and the council and everything else? I mean, they're all interconnected, obviously.
I have plenty of emails around that.
Right.
Yes, between the council.
It seems strange that the chief executive of Vector intervened personally.
It was unusual. But of course, everybody owns everybody.
Right.
So
Treescape could hardly argue because council and Vector would be one of their main customers, if not the biggest customer.
It would have been the biggest customer at the time.
Yeah. So you've got a pile of paper here, right? Which I imagine is only a fraction of the actual piles of paper.
Oh, absolutely.
What are you going to do next? Are you thinking of appealing the Human Rights Review Tribunal?
Yes.
Any other things that you're thinking of doing?
I don't think I'd ever say what I was thinking of doing.
Yeah.
Well, the next thing I suppose is what to do with the properties, and what's happened and how we move forward.
What are you going to do about this tree that everyone wanted to protect?
Well, obviously, it had kauri dieback. It has kauri dieback, and every tree around has it.
Yeah.
And they're cracking and leaves are falling off and falling down, and it's, the whole area is riddled with it now.
Yeah.
So they should have really come through and taken out the dead ones in the first instance, and hoped that the others would stay. So in the cyclone in February 23, there's 2 quite significant specimens on the street that are bigger.
Yeah.
Which is quite funny. And one of them fell down across the neighbour's property, the other neighbour.
Yeah.
And blocked their access to their property. So there were 2 trees on the street that there was quite a lot of discussion about. and one of them is already gone, and the other tree in the street is riddled with carry dieback and is on an angle. So that's an imminent collapse. So as of February 23, 2 of the 3 trees are gone, and then the only carry left is the one that was left is on our property at number 40.
Right. So 2023, just 2 years ago.
Yeah.
How's the tree doing now?
Well, I got the decision from the tribunal on the 18th of July, and I think I probably felt vindicated that it had gone my way. And there'd been lots of bad weather, but on the Tuesday, it was fine and sunny, and I thought, gosh, I'm going to have the courage and go down and look at it. I've not been there for 4 years to the property, which is a long time between visits.
Since the fencing contractors.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. So it's a long time to not go and look or stand at your own property that you pay rates on every quarter. So parked the car around the corner and I hopped out and I walked along, and I'm walking along the top of the properties and I keep walking and I couldn't find the tree. The greenery's grown up, so it's quite hidden. And I keep walking, and I keep going, and I still couldn't see the tree. And so I went along to the left, and I looked down, and there's this huge root ball, and the tree's fallen down.
So the tree that Davy Salmon and Greenpeace and the Neighbours and Greg President and Sandra Coney and all of these 100 people who all tramped all around it without spraying their feet with stuff is dead.
It's dead. So as of, it seems like around the time the decision came out, the 17th or 18th
Gave
of
up
July,
the ghost.
it said I've had enough. And it fell down, straight down the hill. Yes, I think it was sick of the attention. I don't know. It still had protest banners in
So
it.
you had nothing to do with this, right?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fallen
In fact, the Neighbours will have a video of it falling down.
possibly from the camera. I don't know. But I mean, it had Cara dieback, obviously, for now a long time. And it's gone. And to be honest, it's a huge burden that's lifted from me. And it's a huge burden lifted from the entire street. The whole street felt the suffering, to be honest. And so I'm glad to everybody in the street.
10 years, at least $500,000 of spending at the council.
Oh, no, because we've had the abatement notice,
Yeah.
which was another separate lawyer, and we've had the Human Rights Tribunal, which was a different lawyer. I mean, my guess would be about $1 million external legal consultant costs.
Another $1 million probably internal.
Oh, more than that.
Yeah. So the
Millions and millions
so the
of dollars.
council has blown millions of dollars to save a tree that was of no great significance, was a seedling,
That's right.
that's now dead,
Stone dead.
ain't coming back.
There's no climbing it now. Yeah. It's stone dead. And what is interesting, there's been some comments about this, we should have built below the tree, built further down the sites
Right.
below the tree, which was impossible due to
Yeah.
the nature of the land. But imagine how catastrophic that would have been.
What if you'd built around it? Same
Well,
thing, it would have been catastrophic.
Catastrophic.
Flattened.
Catastrophic. And having lived and worked in the area now for a very long time, as soon as you build something around a tree, you've instantly changed its
Everything around it. Its ecosystem.
the light, the ground conditions. You've changed everything, and those trees virtually always die. So people try that, but it's
Doesn't.
not a solution. And in terms of the Resource Management Act, you have to look at the whole tree and its
Environs and everything.
yeah. So it wouldn't work. So, but had I built a house down below on the 17th of July, it would be
I guess it makes it
Correct.
easy now for you to reapply for a resource consent. You don't need to chop a tree down anymore.
no.
Have you considered saying to the council, well, based on this report and based on your breach of privacy, and based on the Human Rights Review Tribunal, we'd like to reapply for resource consent to build those houses there now. And by the way, we're not paying the fees for it.
Oh, I will be applying for new resource consents. Fees, I'm not sure. I think there's other other ways. But uh, I think what I find interesting, and had hoped for a resolution from the Human Rights Tribunal that there'd be some way forward to interact,
Yeah.
because obviously I'm interacting with them a lot more than a normal person.
Yes.
Um, but there was no guidance. There were no rules. There was nothing provided to help us interact in the future. So if I lodge a new resource consent, I think that they'll still be possibly vindictive towards me, because
But they've got no grounds for that now. There's a dead tree.
I know, but
They hold grudges, don't they?
what I discovered during the process is that the council label people, and they have a system where they call out people as well known or difficult in their
Troublesome.
system. Yes. So
I think I've got such a flag
yes,
with the Firearm Safety Authority and the police.
right,
Yeah.
right.
What- Watch out dealing with this guy. He's difficult.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So, but I think leopards don't change their spots. They are what they are, and so we'll see going forward.
I'm listening to all of this, and it reminds me of a guy. You might not have heard of him, but he lives in Wellington. His name's Bryce Edwards. He's a political commentator, and he's created this organization. It's a bit wonky, but for want of a better term, he's called it the Integrity Institute, and he's looking at corruption, political corruption, whether it's donations, bribery, lobbyists. He's got a bee in his bonnet about all sorts of things, and mostly his bee in his bonnet is about private enterprise engaging with government or council and how they do that in a corrupt way.
Right.
But I'm sitting here thinking that you're actually a victim of small c corruption. We just won't use the big C word. We'll say it's a level of corruption designed to protect or shield or cover up intransigence, misfeasance, possibly, maybe even illegal actions by the council. And I'd suggest there is possibility of some illegal actions that the council have performed here that they don't want anyone to know. This would be a perfect thing, theoretically, for him to dig into.
Yes, it would be interesting, and you have to look wider and think: is it only me?
Well, I
Well,
would suggest it's not only you.
Well, I know it's not, because I know that these abatement notices and injunctions are put out to people unnecessarily, and lots of legal work is undertaken, and that poor person has to hire a lawyer to fight these things. So it's not just me. I mean, perhaps the entire legal department should be looked at as to whether what's being worked on is actually useful and valid, or just a waste of money.
See, you see this happen in central government a lot. Once you start doing Official Information Act requests, and then you start getting refusals, and you start getting delays and cover-ups, and you go to the ombudsman, who are overworked because every government department is doing this, breaching all of the acts. And this is just a different kind of civil service. They just work for Auckland Council, but
That's right.
civil servants nonetheless. And it seems that they exist to protect the civil service, not to act in the best interest of the ratepayer.
That's right. I think property rights have been diluted so much that you don't really have much in the way of rights, and you pay rates to the entity of huge amounts of money, and it's used in ways possibly against you. So
Well, this is a case, clearly, where they have acted against you. There's a finding that they've acted against you,
yes,
that they've breached your privacy at the very least. They've had to pay a penalty,
yes,
right? A reasonable sum of money.
yes,
That says guilty.
does to me.
Yeah.
Yes,
And you would think they would learn from that moving forward, but I suggest to you that they perhaps aren't going to learn from that and going to carry on.
the leopard. I don't know things will change, but we'll see.
So what steps next? Obviously, you've got legal possibilities,
Yes.
but you're just going to carry on because you do want to build on this
Yes.
property, yeah.
Yes. Yes. It's always been the goal. 2 sites, we've got 2 kids. That's always been the goal. So I
So
will be carrying on.
you're patient and determined, I'll give you that.
I certainly am.
And, yeah, that's the thing though, is that if you're determined and you're patient, you can eventually overcome all of the obstacles.
That's right.
But the obstacles should never have been put there in the first place.
Oh, the obstacles have been huge and life-changing.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell us about those effects. I mean, it must have been terrifying having people knock on your door and write horrible things in newspapers and put things online and stuff like that. Your kids were, what, 12 and 14 at
Yes.
the time.
Yes.
What was the effect on them and on your husband as well? I mean,
Oh.
he seems to be, having met him, to be a quiet person who doesn't want to be bothered.
I think he's someone who rises above and doesn't get dragged down by the detail.
Yeah,
I think I've felt it a lot more.
yeah,
Because remember, I was born and grew up in Titirangi. He wasn't.
right.
So I suppose my connection with the area and the land and is significantly more than him. Though he's lived there for, a long period of time, I think it really did hit me far worse. And of course, it was my project. So I suppose I felt responsible for it. And have achieved literally nothing. The impact on the kids, it has been severe. I think that we tried to keep everything from them that we possibly could. They only read the Janet Clues report sections just before the Human Rights Review Tribunal hearing.
Yeah.
So, and they're now 22 and 24. So it's a different age from being a young teenager. Terrible things happened throughout the process. I mean, we had Greenpeace activists in orange shirts sitting opposite our front door with flick knives. I had, in 2018 and 2019, council compliance officer and a council arborist show up at my house. And the arborist showed up and totally out of the blue, no appointment. He was really aggressive and he wanted to look at a particular tree that we have that's protected, a kakatea, which is a long way from the house. And so I said, the only way to look at it is from the deck. So he walked onto the deck and at the exact same time my mother showed up. So I went to get to the front door to answer the door to my mother. And I went back and he's standing there taking photographs of the house. A council arborist is taking photographs of our house. So it was really intrusive. So I wrote to the council and said, look, please stop coming onto the property without an appointment. And they did issue an apology for that, but I couldn't get a privacy certificate for that, which was really, really odd. And the fact that the council just kept handing out documents throughout the entire process to the neighbours, I found really disturbing. So I would send a document in for the resource consent or the building consent, and it was just getting funneled without Lagoima straight out to the other side. And that included in the judicial review. They were giving documents from a private building consent. So the defendant was giving documents to the plaintiff in the judicial review.
It's unbelievable.
It was unbelievable because I didn't know that at the time. I had to find that out later.
So the judicial review, you're the defendant in that?
No. In the judicial review.
Judicial review of the council's decision. Yeah.
Right. So I'm just the second respondent.
Yeah.
So I'm just there to
look. You're handing over documents and they're being passed straight from the council.
That's right. So I'm doing a building consent.
Yeah.
And it goes into the council, and I'd noted it as private, which you can do under the Building Act. And they were just handing it straight over to the plaintiff. And then they were using it in the case against me. So it became a farce, sort of a character assassination crossed with a misinformation with um, people talking about things like geotechnical reports they didn't know anything about. It was a ridiculous situation, really.
What would you have done differently?
Well, I probably wouldn't have bought them. And then what would I have done differently?
I mean, you've been quiet. You've stayed silent
That's right.
for 10 years.
Correct. 10 years.
And you've had enough, obviously, because you contacted me and said, I want to tell you a story.
I've had enough because I probably did believe that there was some merit in the judicial system, but we've been through everything.
I can tell you, with my experience of the
Yeah.
judicial system, do not engage in the judicial system if you can avoid it at all costs.
That's right. But
When someone's suing you, you can't.
you can't avoid it. When there's a judicial review, you are dragged into it
Yeah.
no matter what. The abatement notice, I was dragged into it no matter what. The only action of mine was the Human Rights Review Tribunal to try and find a resolution. So having not done had any actions prior to 2015, we just got dragged into a system we couldn't get out of. And it just went on and on and on. So as there's been no resolution really after this Human Rights Review Tribunal, I think now there's a chance to do something different and talk about it.
People say to me, Cam, you don't get stroppy with the police, don't get stroppy with this, don't get stroppy with that. And most people tend to comply. I'm not a complying type person, especially if people are bending the rules or making things up on the fly and doing things. You seem to be that kind of person as well. You dig your toes and you go, I know I'm in the right here, and I'm going to keep going until I prove that I'm in the right.
I think I am probably that type of person. I couldn't deny it.
Yeah.
John wouldn't disagree with you. He would agree. I think in the construction industry that you're always defending people's property rights, what they have, what they could have, and getting consents for them. How could I not stand up for myself?
Yeah.
I have to. And I absolutely fundamentally believe that property rights are really, really important. So, yeah.
I mean, it's your property. They were your trees.
Is it my property though?
Well,
now?
I don't know.
It's hard to go there.
It is hard to go there, but
Yeah.
I see a lot of me and you is that you never give up. You don't give in.
I never give up.
And you're not going to quit. And actually, you have had the right of it because it was consented.
That's right.
Full stop. That's it. There's no other argument after that. Everything else is noise. But it's 10 years of noise and 10 years of your life and 10 years of money
That's right.
that you've expended
That's
to
right.
say, I'm damn well right.
That's right. That's how much I believe in it.
Yeah.
Yes. But I come from quite a I suppose you could say stubborn family background.
I was going to say stroppy.
Stroppy, yes, possibly. Stubborn. My grandfather was the Secretary to the Treasury and he wrote the Black Budget
Right.
in the late 50s.
So it's his fault.
Yeah, it's his fault because it's the same personality type and he wrote that for Nordmeyer.
Yeah.
And screwed the whole country, really. So he was a very, very determined person, and I think my father was the same. And it's come down to me that I won't give.
So they don't know who they're messing with, do they?
No, they don't.
You've got the genes. That's right. Right. You've got the resolve. You've got the
Right.
And you've got the right of it.
That's right. So perhaps a little bit of research about us would have been really useful. You should know your enemy before you take them on because it's been a costly exercise, firstly for the neighbours and then secondly for the council.
I mean, there's some to use corporate speak. There's some learnings here for the council, but I suspect they're not going to do any of the learnings. They're going to carry on.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's been an amazing 10 years. I mean, the first time I heard you explain this, and seeing the paperwork and seeing the redactions and seeing the mountain of paperwork that you brought in here, it's incredible that you've got this far. And all power to you, because it takes people like you to stand up to intransigence from the council or government organisations. You know, when they do wrong, they should do right by the people they've done wrong to.
I agree, and I think in the first instance, it was to to save the properties, and then it became almost about saving myself. It was so difficult, and now I think it's about
Because you were demonised at the time. You know, that you were these dreadful property developers. They used the word developer.
yeah,
You know, that you were shamelessly cutting down a centuries-old tree, you know, for pure profit and all of this sort of. You said nothing for 10 years, and then you came and spoke to me. I mean, I'm chuffed that you did.
yes. Well, we weren't property developers because we'd never developed any property.
No.
We only had our 2 family houses that we'd built. So to be called a property developer was really untrue. But everything that was said was untrue. Every single statement was virtually untrue. So but there's a point at which you can't.
The only
fight
thing that
fire
got
with
right
fire.
were your names, right?
Yes, well, yeah,
And the address.
yes, all over the local Facebook pages. So just doxed everywhere, and it's completely wrong. And I think things are changing on that.
Yeah.
That you shouldn't be able to put people's home addresses and
Well, we're seeing that with Te Pāti Maori now. When they think that somebody's done them wrong, they dox them, and then all of these animals just start abusing them all online and threatening them.
that's right. So we had camera crews sitting at the top of the drive, filming the kids.
Greenpeace was flick knives.
That's right. That's right. You name it. It happened.
Yeah.
So we had to have security around the property, and it was a full-on event.
Well, I know exactly what that's like, having been under siege myself. Mine was for 6 weeks
Right.
during the election campaign,
Right.
but it was pretty intense. And I'm used to that sort of thing.
Right.
So
We were not.
you were not. But looking in hindsight, staying silent was probably the best strategy. And
Possibly.
yeah. And now that you've resolved all of these things, the council has done wrong, you're able to tell the whole story.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So it's been good to tell the story.
Oh, don't you worry about that. I'm going to be ringing Greg Presland and asking where the money is for that trust. And then I'm going to also ask him, did you know the tree's dead? So well done. And I might ring Russell Norman at Greenpeace and ask him the same thing.
Right.
And as you know, I live at Waiheke.
Yes.
I'll track down Michael Tavares and I'll ask him, was it worth it?
That'll be very interesting to see what they all say.
Oh, I'll go after them.
Right.
Don't worry about it.
Right.
I'll be chasing them down to get those. But I'll tell you what, I thank you so much for approaching me to tell this story. And I think it's important that the current council and the current councillors and the people that are standing for council in just a few weeks' time in the local body elections can find out just what their council officers are up to and what they've been doing.
That's right. It'll be very interesting to see what happens next.
So thanks a lot for coming on the Good Oil podcast.
Thank you.
Before we finish up, I want to have a word to you about sponsorship. Your brand needs to be on this podcast. Contact Cam at goodoil.news. Thanks for listening.
Hey, now welcome to the show, where the wind's blowing strong and the truth can flow. This is the Good Oil. Catch a vibe today with Cam Slater leading us all the way.